Mr. President,
The senator from Alabama.
on April 1st, 2020, United States Marine Corps veteran Jaime Peralta lost his 16-year-old son, Daniel. That dark day, Jaime found Daniel laying on his bed, non-responsive, ultimately seeing what looked like to be a half tablet of oxycodone on his dresser. Paramedics arrived and tried their best, but Daniel's brain had gone too long without oxygen. 5 days later, Daniel's parents had to make an unimaginably difficult decision to take him off of life support. Soon, after Jaime got a call from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office, he ultimately learned that that pill was not an oxycodone pill. It was actually fentanyl, made to look exactly like a pharmaceutical-grade oxycodone. That is what killed Daniel. My colleagues on the Senate Judiciary Committee and I heard yesterday Jaime's story. We heard the passion in his voice. You could still feel the hurt. The name of this hearing was The Poisoning of America. We not only heard his story, we also heard Britt Noring's, whose son Devin lost his life to fentanyl poisoning this same week that Daniel died at the age of 19. Devin had suffered from blackout migraines and dental pain to the point that he sought black market prescription drugs, opioids, on Snapchat. This was the same platform where Daniel found the counterfeit pill that killed him. On April 4th, 2020, Devin Noring took what he thought was a Percocet. His younger brother, Caden, just 14 at the time, found him in his bedroom the next morning. That Percocet was actually a counterfeit pill containing a lethal dose of fentanyl. Daniel and Devin's stories and what their families have been through are nothing less than heartbreaking. And it exemplifies what we're going through as a nation, a national nightmare. I'd like to thank them for sharing their stories and for the courage that they have shown in the face of gut-wrenching tragedy. As a mom of 2 kids, what happened to Daniel and Devin is beyond a mother's worst nightmare. It's a nightmare that unfortunately is playing out every day across the United States of America. And it is long past time for America to wake up. It's long past time for Congress to act and ensure that no other family has to experience loss like the ones that I have just discussed. The CDC has, over the past few years, consistently shown that drug overdoses and poisonings are the #1 cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. Nearly 70% of those overdose deaths in 2022 were from fentanyl or other synthetic opioids. 22,000 pounds of fentanyl was seized at America's ports of entry between October 2023 and October 2024. It's more than 1 billion lethal doses. Could kill everyone residing in this country 3 times over. It's more than 5 to 10% is what they say of what is actually coming into our country. So you heard me right. They think there is 90 to 95% of fentanyl that is entering our nation every year, and we have no idea. For reference, it may be hard to picture, but fentanyl is 100 times more potent than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin. That means 2 milligrams of fentanyl, the size of 5 grains of sand, can be fatal. Meanwhile, it takes 250 milligrams of morphine or 200 milligrams of heroin for a fatal dose. Fentanyl is 100 times deadlier than heroin. That is the scope of what we are dealing with. So why are we not doing something about it in this chamber? According to the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General, our government has failed to prevent the flow of fentanyl into our country in far too many ways. According to the Homeland Security, OIG, screening of participants in the Free and Secure Trade Program, which expedites processing for carriers and commercial drivers thought to be low risk, is far too lax. In February 2021, the OIG reported Customs and Border Protections had deployed just over a quarter of the surveillance and subterranean technology solutions President Trump ordered 4 years prior. And in 2023, a vast majority of CBP employees said their field locations, which means the points of entry into the U.S., were not adequately prepared or staffed. Now, President Trump has worked to target the Mexican cartels and transnational narcotic trafficking. He directed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to present a plan assigning our armed forces to the mission of sealing our border and repelling the drug trade. I heard Pete the other day discuss it. Secretary Hegseth said, "My generation fought diligently to secure other countries' borders. This generation has the opportunity to secure ours." Ultimately, President Trump reached an agreement with the Mexican president. 10,000 Mexican soldiers placed at the U.S.-Mexico border to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our nation. And President Trump pushed the Canadian Prime Minister to take significant action to stop the flow of fentanyl across our northern border. These are all steps in the right direction. And as chair of the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee, I will work to make sure the people tasked with protecting the public from this poison have the resources they need to help. But what yesterday's hearing made clear is that we have more to do. Last Congress, I co-sponsored Senator John Kennedy's Fairness and Fentanyl Sentencing Act, and I am proud to be a co-sponsor once again this Congress. That bill would change the quantity thresholds, triggering mandatory minimum prison sentences for fentanyl distribution. It would also direct the U.S. Postal Service to increase its chemical screening and dedicate more personnel to the task of interdicting fentanyl and other illegal substances imported into our country. Our children's lives are worth it. We must do more now. Additionally, last Congress, the House passed the HALT Fentanyl Act. It passed in an overwhelmingly bipartisan fashion. I am proud to support it here in the Senate. Leading it is Senator Chuck Grassley, Bill Cassidy, and Martin Heinrich. And while I co-sponsored it last time, I'm proud to co-sponsor it again this Congress. This bill takes the necessary steps of placing fentanyl-related substances under Schedule I classification and ensuring that law enforcement has the tools necessary to actually end this epidemic. On January 20th, it was a new day in America when President Trump was sworn in. It was a new day in the Senate when we passed the Laken-Riley Act, which President Trump signed into law last week. Congress can get this done. Republican majorities in both chambers have proven we can and will lead the way and are willing to work diligently with our colleagues across the aisle to ensure that that happens. No doubt we have shown that we mean business. We made promises to the American people that we would work to protect them, and we will keep that promise. We delivered on our promise that we would not tolerate criminal illegal aliens rolling free in our country. Now we need to deliver for the American people once again. Mr. President, the era of open borders is over. The end of the era of allowing deadly fentanyl to flow into our country is over. The American people need us to act now, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to clean up our streets. We're going to protect our families. We're going to secure our borders. And we're going to ensure that our children actually have the opportunity to live their American dream. Let's make America safe again, and let's continue to talk about this issue. Our kids and their safety should come first. Thank you, Mr. President.